Good afternoon and welcome back to Ulti TV's live coverage of the World Greyt Grandmasters Beach Ultimate Club Championships here in sunny Villa Simius, Sardinia. I am Ali Thomas, joined by the incandescent Benji Rees in the commentary booth, and we are about to watch the Greyt Swedes from Sweden take on the Jets from France in the 5th place final.
Future as well.
So here we have the first pull of this last game for both teams. It's going to blade and not be fielded by Viberi. He's got the disc right at the back of the end zone. It looks like could well be Callahan territory. Jets here with a zone, manages to reset the stall, but it looks like there may be a call. We do have a replay available. We're trying to communicate that to the teams, but it doesn't look like they'll need it, and the disc will be tapped in.
I mean, you can't really get any more back of the end zone than it is right now. I wouldn't expect... Oh! So I wouldn't expect them to play small ball for long. A deep cut develops, but it was thrown pretty much directly into the face of Jean-Pierre Clavet.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So the Jets have an extremely short field turn. And Alexis Boileau celebrates with the disc after streaking up the line.
You see why I get on people's backs about this now? You see?
Of course, I'm totally on board with that. So a slightly shorter pull this time. There is a little bit of upwind, downwind going on here on these pitches. So uncontested foul on the mark. Fields. The Jets sticking with a match defense this time, as it's a slightly more downwind direction. And that's well caught by Viberi, diving to the floor.
Sorry, I was just going to say there may have been a bit of contact on the throw, and that's on, there's not enough contact on the catch.
Oh, very nice. So we've got Goliath, the captain for this team, on the far sideline. Got a lot of players in the end zone and not much space. That's a very high disc. It's going to be tipped and fall to the floor, with Eriksson just making sure it didn't dink him on the head on his way down.
Why didn't they catch that? I mean, because, you know, there were French players there, so they could easily just scoot it up, and maybe he's thinking we'll get like a stronger handler to pick it up. But I imagine they've all got competent disc skills. Why take the chance?
Maybe they just want to set their offense a bit more, maybe catch a breather. Oh, well taken by Jonas Lorentzon. But there's a bit of a call, and it looks like there's going to be a discussion about whether or not it was in. Don't know if we have a good replay angle since it is the far side of the pitch. Let's just have a look here. So he catches, yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. So at this tournament, if you drag the line with the top of your foot, it is in. However, if you land and your toes are showing on the other side, it is out. So it looks like it's going to stay in. Retracted call. That is a hammer that's not flying super straight, but well taken by Hedstrom.
Slightly awkward, is a bit generous, I think.
Yeah. Back to Viberi. No one in the end zone, despite Ederson looking that way. Now 2 players filtered in, and an offhand backhand to Viberi will tie us up here, 1 goal apiece.
Hit one way and then finding the space through. If you've got confident break throwers, it's a really efficient end zone play.
Absolutely, and works on grass and beach. Probably will work indoors as well.
It's a bit more difficult indoors in smaller end zones, but if you're playing on full-size indoor pitches, it absolutely does.
So we've got the Jets working it upfield. Bit static, having to break upwind. And a big shot goes. Nicely received by Le Glornec. Swings to Langlois. Langlois pointing where he wants this to go, and a lovely up-line cut will be taken down by Olivier Chevalier, and that is another point for the Jets. So we will have the Jets once again pulling from this end zone side. Yeah. And that's going to land just in bounds. Follin picking up. Swings to Hedstrom. Back to Viberi. There are 2 Viberis on this team, though not both of them on this line. Got excellent defense from the Jets, forcing the Swedes underneath. Still count rises, but manages to dump it off.
I'd like to see them take those open passes earlier, even if they're not positive passes in terms of field position. moving the disc quickly, keeping that time of possession low, and bouncing it between open players, I find is never a bad strategy.
And that's just a fake that bobbled out of the hand of Stefan Hedström, and the Jets have a short field turn. They're taking their time in setting up the offense. Goliard finally walking over to the disc. Swings immediately. Oh, and it's high, but well chased down by Bardin.
See, that was what I was talking about. It's not a positive pass, but they're free, so they're taking it, and it gives players a chance to move downfield as that is bobbled.
Big efforts from both players, but it looks like it's clean, or at the very least the contact didn't affect the play. It's Jacob Viveri. Oh, that's an incredible layout, but just not quite able to get there in time. Got Hedström on the disc. He's got several players behind him. Dumps back to Thorvand.
Give the receiver the benefit of the doubt, saying that he judged it well, that the player wasn't going to be able to get there in time, but he so very nearly did.
Got Viveri, I think with a little bit of frustration creeping into his voice as he admonishes his cutters. And a cut from the front gives Hedström the disc. Nice swing round to Thorvand. Looking into the end zone now. Lots of patient offense from the Swedes, taking lots of small passes. Looking to their dumps nice and early. And a nice little dish past the diving Rave will give a score to the Greyt Swedes.
And then depending on how long that finishes, somewhere between 4 and half 4, we will let you know, will be the final.
That final, of course, will be the Young Legends versus America. Both teams going undefeated, and that is a big huck going up. It's Blading, both chasing it down. Jan Corti finds it near the end zone, dishes it off to Alexis Boileau, who throws the disc up in the air, and that is just a lovely, lovely point.
You know, if everyone's just able to chip in a little bit, then we can do more coverage, better coverage, and we can be able to bring you tournaments like this, which has been a little bit of a gem for us that otherwise may go unfortunately neglected.
Nice movement from the Swedes. It looks like they've got a fresh line on, got some fresh legs, able to develop their cuts a bit more. So we've got Mann on disc. He's an American import. Nice throw up the line to Konstruo. Dumps back. And this is the nice patient offense that we've seen so far from the Swedes. Just very calm, and that's a lovely IO shot. And I think the up call just came a fraction of a second too late for Levenet to see it. Goliard had a go, but that is a very nice point for the Swedes.
Hi to our friends in Sverige.
And also to La Belle France.
Ah, oui, oui.
So that pool's going to sail out of bounds. I feel like this tournament, we've seen a lot of really incredible just back of the end zone pools, and also a lot of out of bounds pools.
I think it's one of those things where they're not necessarily playing the high percentage pools. They're trying to absolutely nail it every time, and when you nail it, it's great. And when you don't nail it, usually results in the brick.
High risk, high reward.
Exactly.
We've got Sylvain Bardin on the brick mark. He's got 2 players under, and a run through D from Stefan Hedström.
You made that look easy.
Swedes wasting no time in getting the disc moving. Oh, nice behind the back snag. We've got Hedström on disc on the sideline. Finds Thorvand. Thorvand looking upfield. Nice pass to Jacob Viveri. A little bit of juking and jiving from Hedström. Scott Viveri cutting across. Oh, and that's an IO that's going to be contested. Caught at the second time of asking, but then turfed. And Karl-Johan Follen yells in frustration. He read the pass so well. I think he sold some of the French defenders going up, but the Jets now working the upfield. Fakes the IO. Swings instead to Le Glornec. Swings again. And that's a nice shot. Is it going to be too far? It is, but what a heroic effort.
Yeah, maybe earlier in the tournament he's got enough speed to chase that down, but
to help you snag errant discs. So the Swedes again. Looks like the Jets have set up a zone. The last zone they set up in the Swedes' end zone went pretty well for them. Blocking off those shots through the middle very effectively. Looks like it might almost be close enough to call a double team.
But this is so cramped and so congested. Who's stretching the spaces? Oh, there you go. There you go.
That's a really lovely shot. No one had the time to get anywhere near, and that is the danger of putting all of your players near the handler, is if you can get that shot off to an open player in space. Oh, but just another unfortunate turf in the end zone. The Swedes able to do everything right just up until that last pass. And I think with the wind, obviously, it doesn't make these throws any easier. And that's a big blading pull, but I think came out of the hand of Barlow just a little bit wrong. There was too much edge on it. Wasn't able to get the air underneath it that it needed. So the Swedes again, and what's turning into another grindy point. We'll see which team has more grit. A big bladey throw goes up. Batted away. That was a bit of a dangerous D
trying to get some more yards on the defensive play, and he almost batted it straight into a Swedish mitts.
Yeah, that would have been very cool for us to see, but also would not have been a very happy melee.
This is what happens if you don't catch your Ds, people. And I know people think, oh, catch your Ds, it's funny. No, we're not joking. Catch your GDDs, people.
Not having the best point happens to the best of us. So the Jets sticking with this zone, poaching off the handlers, since it is so much easier to get a turn in these windy conditions. Making your opposition throw lots of passes is not necessarily a surefire way, but can certainly help to force turnovers. So Thorvant on the end zone now. There's 2 Jets players in the end zone to cover just 1 Swede. Very cramped near the end zone. Jets sticking with that zone. It served them well so far. Dumps back to Follin. And travel calls?
Double team.
Double team called, okay. Yep, stepping to demonstrate. Oh, and
Ooh. Nah, he just went to check the disc back in and he accidentally slapped it out of his hand.
Whoops. Whoopsie.
That happens.
It does, yes. Especially when hands are maybe a little bit sweaty. And just a trip over in the end zone.
It's getting a little bit it's degraded. The quality is a little bit slipped slightly. Players just losing their footing, getting a little bit close on the mark. Discs being slapped out of hands. It's got slightly weird, which happens sometimes. Nothing weird about that though.
A nice jump in after what was some very patient zone offense. Swedes very happy to just dump and swing and dump and swing. So you've got the Swedes running down. And a brick call from Chevalier. I think that's the first proper brick call I've seen. Everyone else has been clapping over their heads instead of extending one hand straight up.
The disc and things like that. But yeah, you're right. Obviously, the one single arm raised above the head, that's what you need to do.
I mean, technically, you are raising one single arm above your head, and then you're just joining it with another one. I suppose it's a bit like calling a foul and tapping your elbow, but then also sticking your leg up in the air. You're still calling a foul, you're just adding something else. And that is a turn. Just not able to keep it in hand. Swedes getting it moving immediately. Persson faking Ioan round. Oh, and that's a lovely upfield throw to Nordhammer, who gets it back to Persson. Looking for Man in the end zone. Man comes out to help. Lots of quick fakes and scooping fakes. Instead, back to Nordhammer. Oh, and that's a very lovely throw. Dishing it off. And another bid from Rabé comes up empty. That's true, there was a beach tournament in London just a week or 2 ago.
Wild.
So that pull's going to be just out of bounds, nearly hitting a, I'm not sure if that's a tourist or a family member in the feet. A pink Eurodisc, one of the sponsors of this tournament, of 100% organic discs. Interesting
that while I was the dump, is actually set up slightly downfield.
Oh, and a very low disc, but manages to skim over the top of the sand, not touching a single grain. Bit of a bump on the mark, and a foul called. Sometimes marks do like to give that little bump, just to let you know you're there as a thrower. I'm not a fan.
I mean, there's a reason you're not a fan. It's not in the rules.
The Jets close to their own end zone now on the far sideline, and a nice bladey flick. Oh no, poor Rebbe had the glory stolen from him, but it was an excellent bit while you're just walking off unconcerned.
But it's just nowhere near as awesome.
So we're at a tight contest here.
After being a couple of breaks down early.
Yes, some spectacular first few points for the Jets. Seem to have lost a little bit of their fire, although still bidding all over the pitch, trying to get these discs. And that's a nice up-the-line cut, well kicked in. Another bladey flick, and it's going to be too high for Goliath, though he does get up very high to try and get the D. And a clean, quick point for the Greyt Swedes. Yeah, you have to be eagle-eyed to spot that.
But that one was... I mean, you didn't have to be eagle-eyed to spot that. You could have been... Who's an animal with really bad eyesight?
A bat.
A mole. That'll do. You can be mole-sighted and still spotted that. There's the half-time hooter, so that'll be half at 7, whatever happens.
So we've got Nordhammer on the force. Nice shot through the middle to Chevalier.
And that bid from Mann's a bit late, and it gets a bit of a hip check as well. Obviously, it's good that he's apologised afterwards, but I think in that situation I'd prefer that...
Hammer coming back along with Courty. Big throw goes up. He's got 2 players in the end zone, dumps it back instead. And this is good end zone defence from the Swedes. Still count rising, puts up a floater, and the long arms of Jan Courty come up to snag it. Floaty IO. For the Swedes, back on O, the very classic 2 handlers, 3 cutters set up, trying to work it down. And that's a nice floaty throw to Albin Viberi. Up to Hedstrom. Oh, catch is under a lot of pressure. Eriksson on disc. And a cheeky little upline cut from a player who we don't have on our roster. If anyone in the chat knows who that player is, do let us know. And that is half-time taken by the Greyt Swedes. Watching the Swedes is coolness. There's a little bit of Gallic passion kind of showing through. So a kind of game of relative fire and ice that we have here.
And for the Greyt Swedes, this is already going better than their pool play game where they went down 10-6. They've already scored more than that here.
Thank you very much to the chat for telling me that's Niklas Jalovic who scored that last point. We've got his number wrong. And that's a big put going up to Le Glornec, but it is too far in front. So we'll have the Swedes walking it up to the end zone line with a chance to extend their current 2-point lead. And a big throw goes up. It's going to be Courty making sure that Hedstrom can't get a bid on it. And it looks like that's going to be coming in. 1 player downfield and 1 player in the end zone. I like that look. Got almost 3 players isolated. Chevalier getting free. But Langlois puts up a flop. Ah no, absolute tragedy strikes in the end zone as Courty, with no one in him, he looks as confused as we are about what happened.
I think his hands just betrayed him. Langlois, he stretched to make the catch. You could hear the pain in his voice. And then the throw to Courtil, it's rising and it's a little bit behind him, but he'd back himself to make that catch. This time it just doesn't stick as there is a pick.
Sorry, Thorvant now on disc. Snagged by Jakob Viberi. And a diving Swede. Unfortunately cannot get it, and the Jets waste no time in picking up the disc and starting to get it moving.
I'm pretty sure Follin got a hand to it, but couldn't keep it up, and that can't be kept up either, and now he is advising. Then everybody just take a breath and we take our time in setting it up, but apparently other ideas.
Beautiful lead pass to Thorvant, who puts a nice flat disc onto the break side, and Follin clutches the disc to his chest in celebration.
Gratefully.
Yeah, certainly can sympathise with wanting to hold onto the disc for as tight as possible and long as possible.
If anything, it's nice to just get the feel of the disc back in your hands for a little bit.
That's very true. And sometimes in games you can get very few touches on a disc, and then when you do touch it, it's bouncing out of your hands, which is always a bit of heartbreak. So, gosh, leaving Goliath unmarked.
It's a bold strategy, Ali. Let's see if it pays off.
Yeah, I'm not sure what man was thinking.
Lovely throw and go that from Goliath.
Yeah, but a foul call is unfortunately going to bring him back. So we've got Boileau looking upfield. No dump as yet. So finds an open player in Planchin. Little dish off to Goliath and immediately cuts into the end zone. And that is a big spike from Melee. This tournament, certainly one of the loudest.
Yeah, they do seem to be one of those confidence teams where if things aren't going well, their heads drop. But when they are playing well, it's a thing to behold.
Both teams certainly playing some really beautiful ultimate out on these beautiful beaches. Oh, as Hedström hops up, just about manages to hang on to the disc, gets it off to Eriksson. It's a high disc that is going to be brought down by Janovic, who dishes it into the end zone to Jonas Lorentzen. The Greyt Swedes extend their lead. The fact that the Swedes have a couple of points just kind of in their locker, giving them that confidence to take more passes, swing more, and run down the clock. So we have the Jets back on offense. And that is a huge throw. Well read by Chevalier. And an incredible low pass point for the Jets. Getting a D on the throw, I think he knew that he wasn't close enough to try and get a D. And that, I think, didn't have quite the angle on it that Goliath wanted. So the Swedes are going to take it quite near the end zone. Spongbury on disc.
Nice shot there, Rob.
Oh, and a nice high release two-man. Lovely IO shot. Man does a little pirouette in celebration. So we've got the Jets working upfield. Neither of these teams have any women on them, which is sad for me in open. It's nice to see women playing alongside men, but there we are. Quite a lot of movement upfield for the Jets, and that's a very nice break throw.
This is a delicious around break.
And is that going to float long enough? Oh! That,
I wasn't sure whether it was up, and if it wasn't up, I thought there might have been grounds for a foul. I think they're calling it good, though. So if everyone's happy with that, then so am I.
And the Jets have had a couple of pretty fabulous plays to get them fired up. We'll see if that's enough fire to get them a D on the Swedish team.
The sun is coming down heavy at the moment. I mean, we're trying to get as much in as we can, but it must be draining for the players out there on the field.
Lots of short field. Well, I say that, and then they launch a lovely throw across. So towed in by Thorvant, looking towards the end zone. He's got his players duking and jiving. That's number 18, Hedström. And just sneaks one in on the open side, past Salou. 11-8. That's a long floater. Going to be caught by Bardin. Immediately swings, and that's a big throw. Mallet just totally free. Nobody on him, but he's all on his own now in the end zone with several Swedish players surrounding him. Well caught under pressure by Chevalier. He's looking into the end zone, the same place that the Swedes are in, the last point. Still count rising. And I think a foul call. He looked like he was maybe pushed off balance a bit by Nordhammer. And if that's uncontested, that is a gift to the Jets, who will have another 10 seconds to get the disc off that sideline.
Nordhammer's trying to keep that left hand active on the mark to kind of not allow a consistent release point, but it just looks like he's doing a little bit of the jazz hands.
Jazz hands.
See what I mean?
I do see what you mean. Swings to Bardin, then Langlois. Langlois thinks about the break, but instead, oh my word! That's a shoulder-height catch by Jean-Pierre Ravet, and manages to keep it in as well, just pushing the line away from him. What a play! Where no matter how often you kind of reiterate, you know, mark them under, force them under, rather.
Yes, yeah.
And decisively so.
And there's nothing you can do to stop me.
So the Jets, that's another really lovely pull. Haven't had an out-of-bounds one in a while from them.
Oh, I thought Goulian was going to try and go for the layout Callahan.
Big float, rises to meet it. Nice little give and go. Hedstrom gets that field to Lorentzen. Back to Hedstrom. And then a nice round. We've seen that play so often from the Swedes. Just a quick swing and then a quick break. And Vibery hugs Danny Eriksson. I'm not sure the time cap has gone.
Everyone seems to be happy to slap and shake hands, though. So, GG, well played. Greyt Swedes take 5th.
We are a group of ultimate players, coaches and video enthusiasts. We've worked with the major federations and the greatest events.
We're on a mission to make Ultimate huge. We want our videos and live streams to be free to watch.
We want to make stories that not only reach you,
but also reach people outside the Ultimate community.
Like and subscribe, Ultimate TV, the best in the world.
Become a member and
fund
our
our work to cover more events in the future and to bring more stories and live coverage to the eyes of the Ultimate world and beyond.
Ulti.tv